Well, hello, hello. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Erin.
I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
Ladies, it's another week down in the journey.
Another week.
Candice, kick us off. Who goes first this time?
It is you, Erin, because I took the reins the last time. And so it is your turn. Have at it.
All right. So this past week, I had shared with you guys that I had kicked back my running. By the way, I should say I was down 0.4 this week. So anything going down is a good thing for me. I kicked up the running and I noticed something this week that my anxiety just shot up out of nowhere. And I realized the last time that I had started working on my running, the same thing happened. And I realized that the running is triggering like the fight or flight kind of response in me with my cortisol. And so I backed down from the running. It took like a couple days for it to like settle. And I've worked on walking and maybe picking up my pace a little bit more. And that has helped tremendously. But the running is triggering something in me that should not be triggered. And it bothers me deeply because I love the feeling of running free, but I don't like the panic and anxiety it's inducing. Is that weird? Has that ever happened to you guys?
Well, I've always had a fear. Well, I've always said that my joke, I only run when I'm being chased. But I was wondering for you, Erin, because you and I both had similar issues in the past with the plantar, I would say it wrong,
Plantar
plantar
fasciitis.
fasciitis. So I was expecting you to say that you were having fear that would flare up and that maybe that was giving you anxiety, that because that's something that I know can be attributed to kind of running, and that's something they'll tell you to pull back on. But I've never heard of the other. I've never had the other.
It's literally the anxiety. There's anxiety because you're thinking about something and you're working yourself up. This is literally, I can feel it fluttering in my chest. Kind of anxiety, like what in the world? So, and also noticing too that when that's happening, I also catch myself wanting more fat, wanting more carbohydrates, like triggering this whole response inside of me. Fascinating. It's what I like is that I'm at this part of the journey where I can sit back and look at it as data and observation, right? Bonkers. But it was a fight when we talked about last week about, we talked about saying no to ourselves and then concerned that we're sabotaging ourselves. So, once we start to have success, I've had 10, 11 weeks of really good work. And then all of a sudden, boom, here this thing comes. And I'll admit, Saturday and Sunday, I ate more than I should have. Didn't even look at my points. I started out really good, and I realized it's because I didn't eat well on Saturday. I went to a baby shower, and I can't eat at a baby shower because there's no food that I can eat. And so I had about 2 days where I didn't have normal meals, which caused me to overcompensate at other meals and like just get out of whack. So today I feel weird, but today is like, okay, you are on track. It wasn't that you got off track, but there were things that got off track in those days, and you need to be diligent for the rest of the week. You peel everything back, right? No extras, stay on track. So I've had a very weird week that's spilling into this week, and I'm working hard to pull the brake on it.
And you would say it started with the running.
It started with the running.
It's good that you at least have an idea of what's causing it and how to, what the next steps are to prevent it from having those, that reaction and those cravings that came with it.
I'm just wondering if there's anybody else who's listening has experienced the same thing. I'd love to know. I don't think I'm alone in it, but I'm just curious if anybody else has experienced it and what they've done.
And it's funny, I'm trying to rack my brain. Like, is this going back to identity? Is it because you don't identify as a runner, and then that could be causing it? But it sounds like it's something completely.
It feels totally. It feels totally. It's totally physical. Like, because my mentality is, I'm ready to do this thing, and my body is like, no, we're not.
I
never had that issue, but from the time as young as I can remember exercising, my mom is very thin, and she's always encouraged me to go walking and up my pace and all of that. I used to have, and recently in years when I haven't been exercising consistently when I'd start back up. Issues with I think it's circulation, but my legs would itch horribly. I
Yes.
mean, they would feel like they're on fire, and if I would touch them after a workout or after trying to run or what, it would just feel like they were burning. I couldn't scratch them. It was just a horrible, horrible sensation. And I don't know if there was some like mental piece going on there with just anxiety around that, but I think it was a circulation issue too, because it would usually get better the more I worked out.
I
I will tell
remember
you that I
I
was
was
going to
gonna
say,
say, I
I will
remember
tell
that's why
you
you
that it's,
stopped doing 5Ks.
mhm.
We stopped
Mhm.
doing the 5Ks together.
Yeah, it was painful, and I never got, I didn't get more than one opinion, but my doctor said, "Oh, it could be this, it could be that, just trying to lose weight, that kind of thing." I didn't really get an answer for it, but I think it was probably a circulation, but also like a bit of a mental thing too. I'm not sure.
No, I'll tell you, I actually know for a fact that it's not in your head,
Oh, really?
because I have a friend who started walking with me, and she
Mhm.
had the exact same thing. I actually thought she was being dramatic, and because
Takes one
'cause I'm
to know
dramatic,
one.
some of my friends are a little dramatic too. So she was like, "Oh, my legs, they itch, and it's this," and I was like, "What did?" I've never had that feeling, but
Mhm.
it was circulation. It was a
Okay.
circulation issue for her. So
Okay.
because she had not been walking a lot,
Mhm.
when she started, it really was it was bothersome for her for us to go
Mhm.
on walks together during lunch.
Mhm.
And as she walked more, it went away.
Okay.
It went away. So it actually was something that was going on. It was a
Okay.
circulation issue.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, on this
Thank you.
episode of What Ails You on
There you
Real
go.
WW Talk, I'm sorry
Dr.
I
Candice,
3
Dr.
non-medical
Dr. Rikki.
experts.
but
3
if
women
some
who know nothing about medicine.
what if you're a doctor, call us, please.
Watch a doctor get on and be like, "Actually, it's not a circulation issue." Like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's what she told me, okay? That's what she told me."
Just eat 2 Oreo cookies, you'll be fine in the morning.
Put a little
I
mint on it,
I
eat
was
some Oreos, you'll be fine.
Oh, golly. All right, who's next?
Rikki.
all right. So I am gonna start off by saying I had a good week last week.
Yay.
I and it did not have anything to do with the scale because I was up. But
Yay. Not that it was up, but yay,
I was
because
like,
this
Yay.
is positive. Look at how we're addressing what a good
yes,
week is.
yes,
Okay.
I'm changing that narrative because I knew I made a lot of good choices towards the end of the week. I did not make a great choice on Friday night for dinner, but I ate at home all the other days of the week except for, oh no, Tuesday. That was the big thing. I went to a happy hour with some girlfriends from my previous school, and I had tracked what I was going to have for dinner, and I knew I couldn't have the whole sandwich and stay within my points. So I made the choice to have half of it and save the rest for the next day. So some people listening are probably like, okay, like, but if I cannot honestly think about the last time I did that. For years, I have probably had half at a restaurant and eaten the other half like either as soon as I got home or later that night. It's never, I mean, it's been a long time since I've had the determination to say, I've finished my points for the day, the kitchen's closed, I'm done, and I'm not hungry. It's not like I'm starving myself. It's kind of a compulsion sometimes to say, I want to finish this. I started it, I want to finish it. So I made that choice, and I made a lot of other positive choices. I worked out every single day last week. And I also kind of analyzed the intensity of my workouts and said, I want to ramp this up. So I started the Power Zones training. Um, so I know Candice, Candice started it, and she told me, hey, like, this is a really good training. Why don't you try it? So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I hadn't done it. And it really is, um, it's personalized to you, and gives you kind of a way to progress and make your workouts more intense based on metrics and data. And it was probably one of the hardest workouts I've ever done on a Peloton. So that was Thursday night. And just all week, I was challenging myself. So the scale didn't show that, but I know it will.
We don't always get the weigh-in we deserve the week we deserve it, right?
Mhm.
Rikki, I mean, those are so many positives that I'm hearing. Like, I feel like you lost so much this week, you know, in the good way. Like you lost some old hangups, you lost some old things that Rikki can't, you know, save a sandwich for the next day, right?
Mhm.
To me, those are all incredibly wonderful things. Ah, that's so
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah, like Erin said, I was just sitting here. I'm just going through everything because the fact that you decided to up your intensity when you didn't have to, you could have come up with an excuse and said, "Well, at least I'm on the bike." But to
Mhm.
say I want to take it that step further and to start it off with, I'm proud of myself. I don't care what the scale says. And even if you
Mhm.
kind of were like, I'm going to have to say that, I think that that right there is a major piece that a lot of people struggle with. You brought up 8 different things that you did that had nothing to do with the scale. The non-scale victories obviously outweigh
Mhm.
the point 0.4, which is a P. We always say that. You could have gone to the bathroom and to maintain. So I call it a maintain. You know, it's not a gain. Or did you say point 0.4? Or maybe I
No, I
just made
think
that
that
up.
was no, it was
Aaron
more,
was up
Way.
point
it was
0.4.
more than that, but
I'm just going to
I
claim it
was
was
I was
down
point
like,
point
0.4.
4.
Okay.
okay.
I feel like you could get, I wish you could get, you know, points or things on the scale for all of the non-scale victories that you
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll
So
show up next time
It'll
or the
show up
time
next
after that.
time.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even if that doesn't show up, to me, those two things aren't they don't have to be tied together. You know what I mean? Like again, because we know that the scale is the ultimate measurement tool that WW is using. But for us, think about how far we've come in this past year of our conversations to be able to say, look at all of these great things that happened this past week that I did. And by the way, the scale didn't reflect all of those choices, but I'm okay with that because I made some great choices and they're going to carry me into the discipline and the motivation for next week. I think
Mhm.
those are all great.
and taking a sandwich and cutting it in half and taking it home and not
Yeah.
going back in the refrigerator and
Yeah.
eating it.
Yeah. Who does that? Rikki does that.
Like Rikki does
I
that
do.
because that is something that's something that took a while for me to master and I still have not done it. Knowing it's
Mhm.
in the fridge can be a very big trigger for me. So major
Mhm.
congrats.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, Candice.
All right. Well, my little one decided to give me to be honest, I lost 5 pounds this week,
What?
which was
Wow.
yeah, I've told you I've been on this groove and I am when you look at my trends with weight loss, when I'm on it, I tend to sometimes have really big losses,
Yeah.
like big losses and like consistent big losses that can
Mhm.
sometimes trigger me. Like I told you to want to self-sabotage because I've been very, very consistent with my exercise. I did get a cold, which didn't mean I didn't eat because I didn't lose my sense of taste, which meant I could still taste food. Now, if I had lost my sense of taste, I would have probably been down 10 pounds because what's the point of eating when you can't taste food? Let's talk about it going into 6th season. Like I cannot stand that. Have you ever had that when you get a cold where
Yep.
you lose your sense of smell and taste? Like what's the point of life at
Right.
that
I
point?
think
Like
that's called COVID now.
Right.
it's called, I mean, I
Like,
know
no, I
that's
haven't
a
had that.
symptom for COVID, but it, used to be just a symptom for a cold and a flu. Sometimes if your nose gets stuffy, you can lose your sense of smell and taste. Anyway, long story short, I got a little cold from my son who got his first cold. So I was a little down and not feeling really great. So other than that, but I really was consistent with counting my points. I had to take a few days off of it for exercise. And that was tough because I've been in this groove and the perfectionism had started for me, which was like, I have to exercise every single day. I have to make sure that I'm in within, but my body was like, look, you
Mm-mm.
need to relax.
Mhm.
And it was very tough for me to do, but I did that.
Mhm.
So I was really pleased with the loss on the scale. I didn't weigh in at the center, as you know, because I didn't want everybody to look at me like I had the runny eye and the sneezing. And you don't want to do that during times of COVID because then everyone would say, why would you come to the meeting? So you all held it down on Saturday. And then also I won my step bet. So my step bet is over. I won $5.85 in addition to my original bet.
Congratulations.
So
Hey, and
And
speaking of step bet, you organized a step bet for us for coming up Thanksgiving to December, and this is for the entire Real WW Talk community.
yep,
So here at the game code, if you want to join in, you go to stepbet, you get the app, and it's RWW
yep.
is the code that you're going to use to jump in. But Candice, for anybody who's listening and going, what is a step bet? Tell them real quick.
So step bet is a physical challenge that is based on your own personalized fitness goals for stepping. It syncs with your Apple Watch, your Fitbit, whatever fitness watch or app that you have, and it will create a personalized number of steps that you will do. You have 4 days that are called active days and 2 stretch days that are meant to push you to go a little bit further. So it's just based on walking and steps or whatever you do to move around. And you get 1 free day, which is always a nice day. Don't take it early in the week, I promise. I've learned from experience, save that day as much as you can. But it's just a way to keep you moving. We know during that time of year, from it runs from November 21st to December 25th. That's the time of year where it's starting to get cold outside. We kind of want to just stay inside and eat
The
comfort
holidays.
foods, and it's the holidays. So we created this to kind of motivate us as a community to get out, walk, get some steps, walk around the house, walk during commercials while watching TV, and do it with a community. We're all going to do it together. So I'm pretty excited about it. The big thing with step bet is that if you put in an initial bet of $40 for our step bet, if you hit your goals for the 5 weeks, you get your money back. You also get the money of those who do not hit their goals. So it's kind of, you're very motivated for other people to do well, but then if they aren't, you're like, oh,
And because this is the Real WW Talk community, we are rooting for everyone to do well so that
Of
we get
course.
that $40 back.
Yeah.
but we also probably will be very sad if you do not hit your goal. But we will kindly take the 5 cents that we will each get if you don't hit it.
So look for the StepBet app and use the game code RWW. And by the way, too, we just think this is kind of important for us to put out. StepBet does not know that we exist.
No.
We are not getting any type of a kickback or anything for this. This is just really so that we can help each other. We keep talking about the discipline and consistency, being disciplined and consistent at the holidays, because we know that that is the easiest time to go off the rails and put
Mhm.
our plans to the side. And man, if we can stay on it and stay
Yeah.
true to our health goals during the holidays, we can do this any time of year. But we're
Mhm.
starting to get we're getting into soup season, as we would call it here on the East Coast, right?
Yes.
And
And
all I want to
Sarah.
do is bake and cook, and my goodness.
So, but anyway, that was my week. So it was a good week. I won my step bet, 5 pounds down, $5 in wins with step bet. 5 seems to be the
Amazing.
number.
Unreal. Good for
Very
you.
good.
So,
Congrats.
hey, what did you guys think about the meeting topic? Candace, I know that you weren't there on Saturday, but did you go to a meeting at all during the week?
I
You did.
actually did. I was able to catch Marlon's meeting actually earlier in the week because I knew that I wasn't starting to not feel well, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah. So
Good
so
topic.
the topic was about noticing your eating habits, your eating patterns. Did you guys come away with any revelations from that topic?
Mhm. I did. So I noticed, I know that I'm a sweetaholic. Like I love carbs and sweets, and that's been my biggest challenge. But in the afternoons, if I have things around, or if I know a coworker has a special treat, or, like if I don't have enough snacks in my bag, I tend to go for sweets and really want a larger quantity of sweets. And it tends to be in the afternoon. So I noticed that pattern of really needing to be proactive about having something that's sweet, like a piece of fruit, or a small portion of something that I can have, to kind of be proactive about it, because it hits me in the afternoon and it's like all of my desires and hopes for future weight loss kind of go out the window, when I have really strong cravings like that.
Yeah. I'm a sweetaholic too. Definitely can identify. That's, me and my cupcakes. Love them. But one of the things I have noticed with my pattern is that if I have protein in the morning, I tend to be able to stave off like wanting to give into cravings. So I've been recently been being very intentional about making sure that I have protein, adequate protein for my breakfast. And I've noticed a very big difference in my hunger throughout the day. I don't know if it's that my blood sugar is stabilized, but if I don't have protein in the morning, I'm ravenous throughout the day. I don't know if you all can identify with that, but that was
Mhm.
something that was a big revelation to me because I've heard it said in meetings, but I don't think I ever truly embraced it.
Mm.
What's the protein look like for you in the morning?
Egg whites, eggs. I've been doing this thing that I call like a Dutch scrambler because that's what they call it at the Amish market, and it has like potato, onion, egg, and a little bit of cheese.
Oh, yes.
And you
Sounds
mix it
wonderful.
in together. You can do egg whites, and it's honestly like the most filling thing ever. And I use a
Mm.
little olive oil, like to kind of cook everything together. It's just been great, and it's with the way I did, it's like 7 points.
That's not bad. I
And
mean, if
Wow.
you can get there's Simply hash browns and Simply potatoes that are already in the package, right, that are diced up, and I think is it a third of a cup or a half a cup is like
yeah,
2 points, at least
yeah,
on
Mhm.
blue. I
yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
you don't think of potatoes as being 2 points, but
Mhm. And it's
And
a
it's
good amount,
very
right?
filling. I promise you guys, like it is a game changer. Like I've just been eating it every day, and it's been changing everything.
mm.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've identified as I was thinking through the topic, same thing with you, Candice. I need to start the morning out with protein. If I don't start it out with, and not even just protein, but completely savory, if there is a hint of sweet, including fruit along with it, it sets me off the rest of the day where I need sweet things. So I have to start the morning with savory and protein. And then the other piece that I noticed is I need to not eat after like 7 o'clock in the evening. That nothing good happens after 7 p.m. when it comes to food because I am all in snack central. I start to overeat. And then the next day I wake up not feeling well. I think it's something that maybe it just blood sugar stuff. It doesn't do well. Definitely no sweets late at night. So I've needed to work on that. And then my snack in the middle of the day, if I do a snack, I need to focus on protein and a vegetable, not a protein bar, not for me, nothing like that. Because again, it's like it triggers something in me. Now I can have an apple with peanut butter and be fine. There's just something about if I eat like a protein bar or I eat like a Rice Krispie treat or something like that's not it keeps going back to nourishment for me. What is my body actually asking for versus what is my mind asking for?
Mm.
And my body is asking for nourishing foods to be able to go do, maybe it's I'm going to go do that 30-minute walk. Well, I know that an apple and peanut butter is going to feel me better than, like a gluten-free, dairy-free Rice Krispie treat, even though that's what my mind would 100% want over that.
Mm.
Yeah, and you brought
Uh,
that up a few weeks ago, Erin. You said that you have been focusing more on like the whole nutritious
yep.
food and how that is having an effect just in general with your overall feeling, like how you feel. Because
It's made such a difference. I don't
yeah,
have the cravings
mhm,
that I used to. And so this weekend, because I had that whole cortisol flux thing, I noticed myself wanting those things.
mm,
And actually, I should ask you guys this question. I'll finish this thought and then I'll ask you the question. Like, I'm wanting more of the fat, I'm wanting more of the carbohydrates, and then so I give that to myself with some of the sweet, and the next thing I know, like it's a domino, like it starts triggering wanting those other things. And Saturday night, I sat in my woman cave and projected a movie on the wall, but it's like 8 p.m. and I'm eating snacks. I had like a hard seltzer and I had some chips, and then I'm like, oh, I want a brownie. Ooh, I want this. And like it just I kept wanting things and I went, "Who are you? What are you doing?
yep,
Mhm.
This is not the pattern that you want for yourself moving forward." And it's not to say that we can't stop and do this on occasion, but this isn't what you had agreed. We talked about the intentions, right? Intentions with ourselves. This wasn't the intention with myself. So my question for you guys, do you notice when you have maybe even when it gets towards like the time of the month kind of thing and you get those cravings, do you indulge the cravings or do you work counter to the cravings. And it may not even be, that time of the month. Maybe I notice that I fluctuate throughout the month in what I want, because I may go through a time where it's like, I just want fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's like, ooh, I feel like I need some red meat now. Ooh, I feel like I need some fat now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rikki?
Oh, I think I do. I think I do. I haven't noticed exactly if it's always the same time, but I tend to want the more protein or the red meat and sweet things around that time, and I do indulge that usually. I feel like in general with cravings, if I don't if I don't have it, it typically doesn't. I compensate in some way, but then I end up having it anyway. So if I can have it and plan for it, then I feel like it works out a lot better.
Yeah. And I chuckled in my mind when you asked, do you indulge it or do you kind of counter it? I always tend to indulge. I don't know what countering it means. It's usually that I have it. But Erin, to your point, I'm always fascinated with how quickly it can get out of control.
Yes.
How one thing that you're like, I'm going to indulge on this thing becomes, then I'm going to have some Pringles, and then I'm going to have a hard seltzer, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish off that piece of cake that I said I wasn't going to have today. And oh my gosh, where are those gummy bears? Like it, and before you know it, you blink and you've had 25 extra points and you're
Yes.
like, but I was on track earlier. I promise. It just is, I indulged in this thing and didn't say no, and it set off a trigger. It set off a pattern.
And then
So
it starts and then the next day you feel like, well, I can't recover from this. So I might as well just kind of make it a wash. I'm like, no, that's where I am today.
Do you guys find that you're constantly kind of break patterns with foods? Like I find that if I decide I want something sweet after dinner, something sweet that's more in points, I also feel like I should have a chip or something like with it, not a chip, you know what I mean? Like have some chips with it. And I don't know that I've consistently broken that pattern where it's like if I want a cupcake after dinner, then I am not also having some type of other carb, like a savory carb with it too. Do you guys notice those patterns?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's something that, I think about parties, like kids' birthday parties. What do you have there? You have bags of chips and
fruit
cake.
punch.
Like you don't just have one type of food. Yeah. So it's like, you're like, this is what a party is. It's like going hog wild with all those things that are there. So I feel like in that part of our minds, we feel like we're just like, this is what I do when I'm celebrating. This is what I do when I'm out of control.
And the harder part is after, right? So when it's happened and you know it, and maybe you were accountable, you put it in the tracker, you're like, all right, here's the points, I've done it. I'm not hiding from it. But that's that Monday, Erin, that you brought up, that okay, I'm back now. That is intentional and deep, because those triggers have been those triggers have been triggered, and you wake up and you're like, I don't want the protein this morning. I'm craving the sweets. I'm craving what I gave into the day before. So I find I have to be very, very methodical. Like today for me, yesterday I had a higher point day. I wouldn't call it being off track. I was accountable. But this morning I had to really be intentional about making my egg scramble and say, this is what I'm having today. I feel better right now. But if I had chosen to give into it for another day, it could have become the whole week. And then it could have become the whole month. And I would have to then it would be even harder. So,
and that's not even addressing the mental part of it.
yeah.
Then you start beating yourself up for it. And well, I've just wasted all of this time and I did all of this work and I'm never going to get out of this. I'm always going to be here. It'll never change, right? Like you start getting into that
Or
cycle.
let's hide.
Right. Right. And like today so I know this is going to sound weird, but I had a Coke Zero. And to me, when I have a Coke Zero, I'm not out of that pattern yet, because I don't typically drink Coke Zeros, or like I had shared a couple weeks ago, like we talked about the seltzer, the flavored waters. Those put me in an unhealthy place. They make me want more food and other things. I know that I'm at my healthiest when I am simply consuming my water.
Yeah.
Um, and so even having that Coke Zero today, when you're not completely pulling the trigger on, saying we're done
Yeah.
with this.
And I think it's trying to figure out, they call it in recovery when people kind of go off track with addiction, because that's my field. You
Mhm.
create a recovery plan like that you can institute the moment that, let's say that you were an alcoholic and you had a drink and you're feeling the guilt. For us, what do you do to help get yourself back from on track? And whether that be, okay, for us, I feel like I'm going to be accountable and go against the feeling of hiding from my journal, hiding from because I am the hider. I don't want to see the points. I don't want to acknowledge the damage, even though my body acknowledges it.
Mhm.
I'm like, if it's
Mhm.
not written down, it didn't
It didn't
happen.
happen.
But I instead making the choice to go against that thought and running towards my journal to put it in, getting an accountability partner and saying, look, with Erin and Rikki, wanted to let you know, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling. Help me process this because I'm not in a good headspace right now to process. Those are things you have to be intentional about. And it feels abnormal because we don't normally do it. The hiding for me is my norm. And I always tell people who I feel I've told you guys, if you see me hiding, ask me what's up. I be like, which meeting have you gone to? What is your name now? Let's not do this. We have put in enough time. We don't have time for this,
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. Candice, you said the word, and it's accountability. It's being accountable to ourselves and being accountable to others. I mean, that's the part of this journey and why we're doing WW, and we're doing WW in this way with the meetings, is so that we can have this accountability, because at the end of the day, we're trying to succeed and we want to do everything we can to succeed, to give ourselves that best shot. And accountability has to go hand in hand with it. You have to be known, you have to be seen. And even when we may not feel known and we may not feel seen on this journey, when we show up for the meeting, someone sees us, someone knows us, someone's paying attention to us. Hi, Candice. You're Candice, right? I think I remember you from before.
Yes. You really can't hide because Erin, she's joking, for those who don't know why she's laughing. During one of my stints, like I said, when I was hiding, I thought that I was rejoining a meeting and completely anonymous. And good old Erin comes up to me and says, Candice, right? And my name at that meeting was Nicole. And because I didn't want to be found out. So I said, oh no, you're mistaken. So she recognized me and my smile, and I ran out of that meeting because I wasn't ready to deal with it. But
Nope.
here
But
we
she
are.
came back.
Yes,
But
and
she
you
came
haven't looked back.
It was very hard because I was happy annoyed with her.
That's right. But
Because I
all it
saw her.
takes, but look at all it took was somebody knowing you,
Yeah.
right? Even though you wanted to hide so desperately, and you did because you ran, you came back because it was that little moment, though, of peeling back a layer and saying that you're seen.
Why do I feel like Julia Roberts in Runaway Bride? You know how she would run up to the altar and then just be like, no.
You kind of did. I'm pretty sure I saw the hood on the back of your jacket flapping in the wind.
But let me tell you, though, one of the things this is very important for me to say is, you can't trust your thoughts at these times. And I think that's something that we're so smart that we're not, especially when you think you're smart. You're like, I know you can't trust your thoughts. Your thoughts will tell you that everybody's making fun of you, that if you were to reach out, that people are looking at your journal going, dang, you ate that much. What? That your accountability partners are laughing at you. It'll tell you whatever it is to keep you stuck. You cannot trust your thoughts. You have to trust the actions that you've set down when you were in a mentally healthy place. And that's something, again, we tell our addicts, don't trust what you're thinking now. Trust what you wrote down when you were sober, that you told yourself about how to get out of here.
Because those thoughts are all based in fear, and fear is a liar.
It's a liar.
And it's never it really is, like you were saying, Candice, it's never as bad as we think it's going to be. Like, we imagine the worst to protect ourselves, but then we get there and it's not that bad. I mean, I did have, I will say, a moment where someone did say something negative when they saw my journal once, but that taught me. Then I learned who my friends were. Like I learned, okay, like that happened. It was one of my fears. It did happen, but now I know. Now I know what a positive person would say to me, and what someone who maybe was having a negative moment, and maybe not ill-intentioned, but did say something that was harmful about my weight. I can move forward with that information, but that happened one time out of however many years I've been on this journey.
Well,
Yeah.
and that person too is probably looking at it from the perspective of themselves
Mm-hmm.
in how they would feel if they did that versus looking at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do I encourage my friend in this
Mm-hmm.
moment? They took your journal and made it about themselves and the shame they would feel if they did something
Mm-hmm.
versus looking at this thing and going, this is my friend. How do I love her in this moment?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
those are two very, like you said, you can tell who's your friend on that
Mm-hmm.
versus who isn't in those
Mm-hmm.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good perspective.
And also, not to take it to the extremes, my name, but
But
it's
do it, Candice.
yeah, but it didn't kill you. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
because I think that you, especially I'm a feeling person. I feel
Mhm.
like we can all be feeling. You feel like when somebody has done something that injures you, sometimes I can't let it go, and it plays over again and
Mm.
over again and over again in my head. Like, oh my gosh, that person said this, and I just can't. But it didn't kill you, and
Mhm.
the choice for you to kind of continue to think about it is your choice.
Yes, you're
Mhm.
And
right.
knowing that you have the choice to say, I've thought about it. That was wrong what he or she said. I didn't like it. I don't receive it for myself. And I'm going
Mhm.
to choose to be annoyed for 5 minutes and I'm going to move
Mhm.
on.
Mm.
'Cause
Well,
that person probably didn't remember what they said. Like, they're not thinking about it over and over again.
And
So
that should
why am
piss
I?
you off. Yeah. It
Mhm.
pisses me off to think that I'm thinking about this and the person who injured me is like gone,
Mhm.
you know?
forgiveness is one of the greatest things that you can do for someone else and for yourself. I
Mhm.
will not nurse the hurt. I will not rehearse the hurt, and
Mhm.
I will let it go. And my favorite is nursing the hurt and rehearsing the hurt because we do
Say
both
it
of those.
again, Erin. Whoa.
Mm.
See, that's a soundbite there. I will not nurse the hurt. I will not rehearse the hurt.
I will
What was the
let
last part?
this go.
Let
I
it
will
go.
let it go. I give forgiveness to you and I give forgiveness to me for continuously nursing and rehearsing this. I'm hurting my own self. The wound that they inflicted on me in this moment was so minute compared to what I'm doing to myself right
Mhm.
now by nursing this thing and rehearsing this thing. I've got to
Mhm.
let it go.
Can you
Plain
please
and
get one of
simple.
those apps where you can create like quotes and put like like a bird in the background or
The wind,
clouds and
Candace being the wind beneath our
Erin,
wings here.
and then like sign it with your name in cursive so that everyone can share it and it can go viral
I'm
because I
pretty
really
sure
like
I
that.
I heard this from someone else at some point.
That's okay. Claim it now. We're just gonna claim that you created that. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, pivot because we hear a lot of really good things in our meetings and what we were talking about, how important the accountability for our meetings are, right? We want to hit our spotlight meeting leader of the week. And this one came to us from Jennifer, one of our Real WW Talk members. She made this suggestion to us. Mercy D. Candice, can I throw it to you to be able, since I think that recommendation came into you.
Sure. Yeah. Jennifer and I were chatting and just wanted to give a congratulations to our members, but Real WW Talk members, Jennifer and Ashley. They completed I think a 10K or
10K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10K over the weekend, like
Get it, girls.
ridiculous. It's a wonderful job. But anyway, Jennifer sent me this recommendation and said that she thought that maybe we want to check out her meetings and that I think she listens to Real WW Talk. So I think that this would be a wonderful person. I have not personally been able to go to one of her meetings, but I'm very excited to do so. She has a variety of times and dates available. She looks very, very nice.
This is
And
Mercy D, Mercy, and the letter D for David.
yeah. So she has meetings. Like I said, I tend to want to look at, she has a lot of morning meetings. She has Tuesdays in the morning, Wednesdays in the morning, Thursdays seems to be a busy day for her, and then also Sunday. So for me, if I don't ever make it to like my Saturday meeting, I definitely would want to check that out. So if you all go to one of her workshops, please let us know. We love to get recommendations from those of you who have tried out different coaches, because everyone has a different style and we all learn something. And I just love the fact that with WW, depending on your membership, you can try out as many coaches as you want at all different times of days. So I'm really looking forward to checking out Mercy D. I hope you all try her too.
Man, it's perfect for even those moments where you talked about when you want to hide, go hop
Yeah.
online, go to a meeting,
Yeah.
do it in that space.
And the thing that I love about it too is that they're all in different states. So you know how sometimes we talk about a lot of things that happen here in Maryland, and we know the restaurants and we know the if you're ever looking to travel somewhere, it's almost like try to find a coach that's in that area, because all of the people who are there, they talk about restaurants and stuff. It's very interesting. I've gone to a lot of different places. Someone in Vermont, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I don't know what that restaurant is, but I'm going to put it on the list."
I just
Ben
love
and
that we
Jerry's in Vermont.
we instantly went to restaurants that happen in the WW meeting. Like that's the most Weight Watchers thing ever.
Yeah, not the nuggets they give you to stay on track. I was like, "Where did you tell me to go and get some food?"
Not the nuggets to keep you on track, but the nuggets we eat. Could we talk about
you eat? Like, who has the best nuggets? Really? What is the best gluten-free ice cream? Please let me know. Do you all have gluten-free Oreos there? Really?
Oh my goodness. We are a hot mess. I love us.
Can I just share one thing, as I know we're getting ready to end? I acquired some rosemary today, and Erin is our cook. Okay. We ask Erin how to make everything. So I said, "Erin, what should I do with all of this rosemary that I have?" And she gave me some wonderful suggestions for chicken and really nice things. And then she said, "You know what you could do? You could put some in this olive oil and use it in your hair." And it was really nice. She gave some wonderful reasons why I should put this rosemary in my hair. And I just kept thinking, why would I waste it when it could be used in food? Why would you give me a recommendation for my hair?
Listen, she's got so much rosemary. She showed me it was like half of a bush of rosemary this person gave her. I'm like, you can't eat all of that. Let's consume it inside and on the outside.
But I couldn't even process it. I was like, why would I waste it? I need to eat it. True WW foodie.
But side note, if you do have a lot of rosemary, if you heat it up with some oil, it makes a really good hot oil treatment for your hair.
There she goes again.
Or if you
There
boil
she goes
it
again,
down,
talking about the hair.
you boil it down with water. If you have brown hair, it's super nourishing for brown hair. And you use chamomile tea leaves or chamomile flowers and tea leaves if you've got blonde hair. So,
and it's really good in chicken.
And it's really good in chicken. If you've got the skewer, like the stalks where they get really big, just pull the leaves off the bottom and cut up the chicken and put it on them like skewers, and then you put them on the grill and it infuses it. Oh, it's so good.
This is why Rikki and I will keep her, because we just
guys,
not for anything else. Forget all the other nuggets. She can tell you what to do with rosemary.
I could talk about food all day long, and that's why I do WW.
Food and hair. Love
food
Erin.
and hair. That's right. All right. That wraps it up for us this week on Real WW Talk. We're so glad to spend this time with you. And thank you so much to everyone who has been leaving reviews on Apple Podcasts and any platform where you are listening to us and they have reviews available. We so appreciate it. We're reading them and it touches our hearts. We're so grateful for them, but also because you're helping other people discover the podcast as well. And, we all do things based on recommendations. So thanks for leaving those positive reviews. And if you want to connect with us, we would love to have you in the Real WW Talk Facebook group. Just search Real WW Talk. And of course, we are also on YouTube and Instagram as well. And we just love our communities there. I'd love to see everybody turn out for one another and help everyone think through problems and give encouragement. It's just the most positive place to be. We love it. All right. Thank you guys so much. We wish you a great week on your journey, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.